Chapter 29, Wednesday, November 17th. Millionaires for the Month. By Stacy McKelney. Felix. By 9 o'clock p.m. Coach Murphy had told them the results would be posted on school's website by that time. If Coach was going to be punctual, he had 3 minutes left. Try refreshing it again, Felix said, standing behind Benji. They had agreed to wait for results together, more Benji's idea than Felix's. Felix had been feeling guilty about ignoring Benji one day of tryouts and could not say no to this simple request. Thankfully, days 2 and 3 had not required any partnering choices. Benji didn't have a chance of making the team, but Felix did. And if he was selected, how was he supposed to react in front of Benji and Mr. and Mrs. Porter? He couldn't be happy or excited, and what if he didn't make it? Felix didn't want to consider that option. Felix had devoted the past 3 days to basketball and not much else. He kept up with his homework, and he and Benji had fallen behind on their daily spending. Felix had brought a few $1,000s worth of stuff online, but it was Benji who kept them in the game by booking the band Apex 7 for Georgie and Michelle's wedding. It was the only way Felix was able to sleep the past few nights, knowing they had $1 million bill coming up on Sunday. Benji sat on the couch with his computer open on his lap, amazingly calm. Felix paced behind him. Benji's parents certainly weren't calm, though they pretended to be. Mr. Porter leaned against the doorway, fiddling with his phone, but mostly staring at Benji. Mrs. Porter flicked channels and on the metered TV. Freebie must have sensed the tension. He laid on the floor and didn't rest his head on the paws as usual. He kept his brown eyes focused on Felix. One of his floppy ears stood up like he was listening intently. "It's 9, Benji's dad said. "Refresh it," Felix began. "It's up," Benji interrupted. "Jacob B, Spencer B, Raul E." Benji read the first few names and mumbled a few more. Then he cursed. "Benji!" His mom gave a warning. Felix leaned over Benji's shoulder, needing to see for himself. There were 10 names, listed alphabetically by last initial. His eyes flew through the names, and there it was between Jonas N and Luke S, with an asterisk next to it. Felix R. "What does that mean?" "Benji, you didn't make it," Mr. Porter asked. But he had to know the answer. "Of course not." Benji snapped his laptop closed and shoved it into Felix's chest. "Are you really surprised? I suck. I'm sorry, but I suck. And we've all known it. Now it's official. Let's stop pretending." "Oh, Benji," Mrs. Porter said. "Did you make the team, Felix?" Mr. Porter asked. "I'm not sure." It was the truth. He'd opened the laptop again and set it on the dining table. He needed to know what the star meant. "He made it," Benji said. His name was on the list. "Congratulations," Mr. Porter said. "I'm happy for you." Felix thought he sounded sincere. "Benji, there's always next season," Mrs. Porter said. "Michael Jordan didn't make his varsity team when he first tried, and look at how that worked out. He played JV instead, and he didn't make varsity because he wasn't tall yet. I'm already the biggest guy. Benji ran his hands over his head. You gave it your best shot. That's all anyone can ask of you. Mr. Porter squeezed Benji's shoulder. Then he paused, and as if waiting for Benji to reply. And my best isn't good enough. Benji went into his room and slammed the door. Felix focused on the webpage, reading it from top to bottom. Beneath the schedule, there was a definition of the asterisk. See me on Thursday. Thursday, November 18th. Felix knocked on the open classroom door to get Coach Murphy's attention. It was 20 minutes before school, and Coach stood alone at the dry erase board, writing questions in blue marker. Good morning, Felix. Come in. Coach capped his marker. Felix didn't know if he should take a seat. He hoped not to be here for that long. He hoped for a simple explanation, like, you made the team, but your mom forgot to sign the medical form. Good morning. He decided to stand. I need to ask you a question before I give you a spot on the team. Coach crossed his arms and drew a big breath. Did you have anything to do with the bribe that was sent to my kid's school? What? Felix hadn't expected this, or more accurately, didn't want to think it possible. He looked at the banking app almost hourly. He knew Benji had made some charges to party places, which could have been for anything. For the wedding, for the lunch period, for an actual party. The goal was to spend money, so Felix didn't question it. He didn't want to question it. Yesterday, 3 unicorns and a small army of princesses showed up at my daughter's elementary school. Coach made air quotes around the word unicorns. Benji hadn't ridden with Felix to school yesterday morning. He'd said he was something he had to take care of, something important. Felix didn't make a big deal out of it. He just enjoyed his chance to ride in the Bugatti. Did you know anything about it? Coach Murphy asked. Felix's heart sped up. He wasn't sure how to answer. Coach stare made him feel like he was hooked on a lie detector. He took a deep breath. Did Coach know Benji had set it up? Or if Felix mentioned Benji, did he rat out his friend? You're looking very nervous. Coach narrowed his eyes. He also Felix was looking very guilty. I didn't have anything to do with it, Felix finally said. And it was the truth. But Benji Porter did. I don't know. Coach said nothing. He just waited, standing completely still. But Felix was a pro at staying quiet and motionless. Finally, Coach Murphy spoke. You can't buy your way into a basketball team. Yes, sir. I want a hardworking team that I can trust, the coach continued. If you swear you are not involved with this scheme, I'd like to offer you a spot. I swear. Noises filled the hallways, and students chatted and headed to homerooms. Welcome to the team, Felix. Coach uncrossed his arms and offered Felix a handshake. I'll see you at practice this afternoon. Relief washed over Felix. This was what he wanted to be on the Sterling Middle School 7th grade team, but he also felt pressure in his chest. Benji hadn't gotten what he wanted. Coach, can I ask you a question? Felix stepped closer so a few students trickling into the room wouldn't hear. Shoot. Would Benji have made the team if he hadn't? Felix didn't want to say bribe. No, he wouldn't have made the team. But that's the least of his problems.